Darren, just give me an idea of why the dressing room can be so difficult, because we'll have lots of people that are saying, well, let's just get over it, let's just move on. But I think you can tell by the fact that we haven't had an openly gay footballer in English football for over 30 years. I think you can probably tell why it's so difficult for somebody to come out. From someone that's experienced dressing room banter, the dressing room experiences, why do you think it's so difficult?
Well, I think necessarily the dressing room is probably the least of his concerns, really, because you'd like to think that I heard that he spoke to the captains first. I would imagine he would have probably sat down the rest of the squad and said, listen, lads, I've got something to tell you. And they probably would have embraced him. And that's probably what gave him maybe the confidence to maybe come out and obviously to a wider audience, the general public. So I think that kind of, I know a lot of people talk about the dressing room banter, but dressing room banter's not really like that. Well, certainly not in my time anyway. That kind of things about, obviously, I mean, his gender, things like that doesn't really happen now. That kind of banter, it's not like that anymore. And plus, it's not accepted as maybe it once was back in the day, where that was kind of the common knowledge. But the fact that he has come out, I think it takes incredible guts. I think it should be the norm, but unfortunately, it's not. I think the dressing room, the training ground, people that are around him are going to have to help him to a certain extent, because his life is about to change, unfortunately, just because of society and the times that we live in. You go back to at the weekend, Ivan Toney and Rico Henry are talking about their family getting racially abused. Unfortunately, the terraces can be a horrible place. Now, again, it's not just even the terraces. Of course, once people have had a drink, they're probably going to have to shout stuff at him, rival teams. But not even that. When he's out and about as well, walking about, you get idiots out there. There are people, unfortunately, that are just prats. So he's probably going to be walking around. He goes to bars. People are going to now recognise him because obviously he's come out. He's been strong. People are going to now shout stuff at him. So it's a lot to deal with for him. But I'm glad that he's come out and done that. And as you said there, even though it's a massive, massive story, because he's the first obviously openly gay footballer to come out in the last 30 years, I hope we get to a point where it's just irrelevant, regardless of what he chooses to do in his private life. It should get to a point where it shouldn't be the biggest story out there. It should be just a normal, that's what he chooses to do. Fair enough, we move on.
Yeah, I agree. And what he has done, taking these steps, will make it so much easier for other people to follow in his place, which I think is where you're striving to get to, isn't it? To get to a point where, like you say, it's just normal and it's accepted widely, and it doesn't need a huge fanfare.
Like I can imagine back in the day when it was just in fashion, I can imagine it being awful, because the whole mentality, even things down to mental health being spoke about back then, they would have said, just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Back then would have been awful. Race, everything would have come into it. Now it's a lot more accepting. As you said there, that's usually how it works. You get the first one to come in and to kind of take the hit. That's what you said. You take the hit, and then you get more coming out saying, okay, well, listen, it's me as well. And it's kind of like the trend carried on.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.